So this is a very privileged little go in the Lotus Evora GT4 race car at Hethel. Where else? It's quite a serious piece of kit, this, but it's very much for the gentleman racer. It costs about £125,000. It's the same Toyota V6 that you get in the Exige V6, but it's been pretty heavily tweaked in various directions. The weight all up is about 1,100 kilograms. So if you do the maths on that, we are talking about a fairly serious little GT racing car. Sounds lovely. The only snag is that today, Hethel, it's not absolutely soaking wet, it's that absolutely worst thing that you do not want, which is it's partly dry and partly wet. But anyway, we're going to give it a go, see what happens. I am, to begin with, going to take it nice and gingerly, because these are not days on which you make a fool of yourself. Wow, there's a lovely lightness and agility that you don't feel in any other Evora, and the steering is beautifully light, actually. There's bags and bags of power assistance, but also lots of feel, just as you'd expect from a Lotus. I'm surprised by how light it is, actually, but that's because this is a GT racing car. It's not meant for sort of superheroes who want to flex their muscles. This is meant for people who want to race for hour on hour on hour, and therefore not get completely knackered whilst they're racing. Steering is good, but I wouldn't say absolutely amazing. It doesn't change direction just as instantly as I was kind of expecting it to, actually. Let's put my foot down. Fourth. Through windsock. I reckon that would be flat in the dry, just about. Not today, it's not. It's that really horrible kind of greasy, isn't it conditions. Monster brakes, really monster brakes, and lovely feel through the brake pedal too. Doesn't like those curbs through the chicane, I have to say. So the gearbox, as you can tell, because I'm not using a gear lever, is basically the gearbox out of a WTC car, which means it's an X-Track gearbox, and they use that because the engine in this car is mounted transversely, just like it is in the WTC cars, or most of the WTC cars, which are front-wheel drive. Because the Evora GT4 is mid-engine, but the gearbox is still mounted transversely, they thought, yeah, okay, let's use a WTC gearbox. So that's what they're using. But they've had to beef it up a fair bit, because this has got quite a lot more torque than a WTC car. Even so, the gear change is lovely. It's really quick. I mean, listen to that noise. It's just lovely. But no, you can tell that this thing has been engineered to have quite a wide range of abilities, to suit a wide range of drivers. Because the thing about GT racing is that you've got a huge variation in driver skill. Some of the drivers are really, really tasty, and others are, shall we say, not. But they're very, very wealthy. So the wealth quite often ends up paying for the tasty drivers to have fun and make the wealthy drivers look a little bit better than they actually are on the results sheet. As a result, everyone goes home happy, including Lotus, because they're making quite a nice little profit out of this car, and Lotus themselves have got a nice little arrangement going with their whole race series. They've got Elise Cup, and then it goes up to Cup R, and then you can go up to GT4 like this, and then you've got some GTC, and I think they're called about to be called GTP class Evoras in the States. So there's this nice natural hierarchy that you could go up. I guess it could almost serve as a metaphor, what Lotus are now doing with their racing program. Not the Formula One team, because that's kind of a separate entity, but with this new hierarchy that they've come up with, from Elise Cup right up to this GT4 car, they're just kind of being sensible about what they're doing. They're not talking the talk and coming up with outrageous statements that you just think, yeah, right, I don't believe you, mate. All that's gone. That era of Lotus has disappeared, and it's been replaced by a much more conservative, much more realistic way of thinking and way of going about, let's face it, taking a few quid off the punter. And if this is the pinnacle at the moment, it's a very nice place to view the world from, I tell you. And the best thing is, this track is starting to dry out a bit. Great little racing car. Great that Lotus is back on track. Thank you very much, Lotus, for giving me this opportunity. Now I think it's best to put it back in the box before it rains anymore or gets any more slippy.